Since 1992, Genesis House has been helping real people heal from addiction on their private recovery campus in beautiful Palm Beach County, Florida. Their family-owned program is accredited by the Joint Commission and offers detox and dual diagnosis treatment in a comfortable and confidential setting. At Genesis House, they focus on treating the underlying causes of addiction. Their comprehensive approach includes psychiatric care, individual and small group therapy, trauma healing techniques, and holistic care including yoga, massage, and animal-assisted therapy. After treatment, their clients enjoy the lifelong support of a nationwide network of Genesis House alumni. Call Genesis House today at 1-800-737-0933 to speak with someone who understands. Visit them on the web at www.genesishouse.net. It's time to start your journey to a long and successful recovery.
Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast, is brought to you by the Friends in Recovery community, a thriving network of individuals who are fighting back against the stigma of addiction. Join our hosts as they speak up about the real issues of addiction, treatment, and recovery. Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast, is available on Facebook, Podbean, iTunes, and YouTube 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now, here are your Friends in Recovery.
Welcome, everybody, to the Friends in Recovery podcast. I'm your host, Jersey Ed, along with my two lovely co-hosts today, bright and beautiful. Look at these ladies, New Time with Sky and Tiff P. Welcome, ladies, to the show.
Hello, Jersey Ed.
That's my name.
Long time no see.
That's right.
Friends.
Exactly. So first and foremost, I'd like to thank Genesis House for their ongoing support of this podcast. Without them, we wouldn't be here today. And also, guys, I want to welcome everybody on Facebook Live. We do this right now. We're trying to do it every Saturday morning. And we have, if you guys want to join us at 10 a.m. Eastern time, you can jump on Facebook Live. We're going to just let you guys know how it's going. So far, so good with everybody on Facebook Live. We have Jordan here. We have Joe from Dayton Strong Recovery. We have Chris, your hubby there. Bambi, of course. We can't forget Bambi's here right now too. So, but if anybody else pops in, just let us know and we'll give you a cool shout out. So that was my shout outs for today. So I'm going to bypass the shout outs for me anyways. This week's topic, guys, is wrapping up step 5. Finally, Jesus Christ, how long can this fucking month go on step 5, right, guys? But we got a good show for you. We got a little bit different. We are going to talk about step 5 and some of the things that we put together kind of a roundabout way that will lead us to step 5. So stay tuned for amazing recovery. But while we're doing that, I want to talk about a literature we're going to be using today. Skylar is going to use the how and why. Skylar's our NA girl. So you NA people listening, just go grab your how and why and your NA workbook, because that's what Sky will be using. And Tiff is going to use every piece of literature ever known to AA today. So you guys might have to just get on Hazelton's website and follow through with Tiff. But we kind of got it down to the Life Recovery Bible workbook, daily reflections, and Grapevine. I'm going to end the 12 and 12. I'm going to be using the 12 and 12 and Rob Hooper's spiritual handout piece that he gave us a while ago. And I have dogs here. So this is, hang on one second. All right. Sorry about that. So sober shout outs, guys, while they're going to get their literature. I have a couple, but Tiff, do you have any before we start?
I don't have any specific ones this week, except for I saw a lot of participation last night from the G House people on our meeting. And I want to say that they are looking good, like physically looking good. So shout out to all the people in recovery at G House.
Yes. Absolutely. Yes. And I wasn't able to get on that meeting, but speaking of meetings, before we go any further, before I get Sky, our queen of shout outs, how can they find our meetings, Tip, so we can just get that done and over with?
Well, Friends in Recovery obviously can be found at our website, which is soon to launch, and Carl will have that information up soon. But we host 2 meetings a day, both at 12 Eastern Standard Time and noon. or sorry, and 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So twice a day, guys, you can find us. And really, we're up to 3 meetings a day. So if you want those extra meetings, go to the genesishouse.net website and under connections. Sorry, yes. It is connections.
Yes.
And you I haven't done this in like 2 weeks, so sorry about that, guys. My script in front of me, didn't think I needed it. So I'm just going to can it at that, find it in the notes, and back to you, Jersey Ed, and in the newsroom.
Thanks, Tiff P. Now back to
I forgot one important thing that you told me to talk about.
What?
You told me to talk about that we're looking for an intern.
Oh, yes.
So we are looking for an intern, a podcast intern who is really connected and knows how to work social media, really boost all the things that we can do to capitalize on the algorithms across the board. Just someone who is really into that social media and helping us grow and be seen and heard on the podcast and recovery community. So looking specifically for a podcast intern who specializes in social media, you can send those resumes to help@friendsandrecoverypodcast.com. Over to you, Sky.
Now for some shout outs from Skylar. Skylar is the queen of shout outs. So.
I don't have that many this week. I have to shout out a few people. Erin R. She's a really dedicated alumni. She's been to every single alumni event since we've had them since October 2000. Oh gosh, was it
in
18
person
maybe?
Too? She came in person also.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
like she's been to every single online and in-person alumni event since we started them. And she graduated college this month.
All right.
You made her both did. So I love it. Me and her are so connected in this process. Like we meet people in this process sometimes we may not know much about, but there's deep levels of connections with them. You know what I mean? And I love that.
She's great.
Deb M and Aaron C both had a year. I think that's awesome. And I really want to keep shouting them out. I want to also give a shout out to a few people in my home group. Carl, he came on the alumni. We had a speaker canceled at the last minute. And he stepped up and spoke on the alumni for me.
Who, our Carl? Our Carl?
No, not Carl. Carl from my home group.
Oh, okay.
He's from Minneapolis.
Okay.
What? Yeah, I know. Oh my gosh, I didn't even put 2 and 2 together.
Yes, we should be connected.
Oh, you will love him. He is
all right.
Bomb. I feel like he's literally like my soul brother. So you're going to love him then. All right, and then I also want to shout out Annette and Jessica from my home group. Both of them had surgery this week and are recovering and kicking butt, still signing on the home group and everything. So I just think that the amount of courage they're showing and willpower in this process, I love it.
Nice. Good. Well, awesome. Congratulations to everybody. And I have my 2 standard sober shout outs. Sober Pod, guys, go listen to Sober Pod. They're amazing podcast. Carl and Chelsea really get to some of the hard hitting issues. And I think this month they're doing this year, I think they're copying us. They wanted to have something like we're doing, right? They're going from Living Sober, and they're just taking, I think, excerpts from Living Sober. They're reading it and they're really going into it. It's actually very good. I think that might be our next thing we do next year. It was my idea already, but
you could do Living Sober and I could do Living Clean. They're both
there. You go. Yes, that's it.
And I could do the big book.
There you go. That's it.
So we can
the Christian one you're working on.
All right. See all this stuff in the planning.
That's right.
Got yours ready.
But Carl and Chelsea over there. And of course, Dayton Strong Recovery 101, Joe, who's with us today. He's on Facebook Live. Joe has been on a lot of our meetings. I can't even remember how I found Dayton Strong Recovery 101. I don't remember. Maybe on Facebook or something, or maybe he found us.
Yeah, he started following our podcast.
Is that what it was?
Who's this guy? Who's this guy?
Yeah. And then he has a really good show, Dayton Strong Recovery 101. Go listen to it. It's great. So now, guys, what I was just thinking, we have the East Coast covered, right? We have the Central covered. Well, Joe's really kind of in Ohio, but still that's Central United States. And we have the West Coast with Sober Pod covered. Mm-hmm. So why don't we come together as a team and become Friends in Recovery United States or something, right? Huh? I'm just,
we can make it
saying,
international. We
I'm
can
just
Friends
throwing
in
it out
Recovery
there.
Nation.
Nation, Friends in Recovery Nation.
Friends
I
in
like
Recovery
that.
Nation.
Let's get real saucy. Yes, let's spice it up.
That's right. That's right. So that's a challenge for Joe and Carl out there. We dare you to join us. So, anyways, let's see. So now, Mike W just Sweets just joined us. Sweets is our old producer when we were in a studio, and then COVID hit and things went awry, and now we're in our kitchens and our bathrooms, and I'll be in the moving truck in a little while recording from the back of Van Lines Unlimited or whatever the fuck they are that's moving us. So and I'll talk a little bit more about that. I'm actually moving, so this is going to be the last show from Cape May, New Jersey. Next week, the show for me is going to be coming from Johns Island, South Carolina, which is near Charleston. And I am kind of psyched, guys. I really am. I'm really kind of happy to move on to the next part of our lives. Yeah. And if anybody has a story out there that, they're moving or they just took a chance at something and just moving on to something, that's huge, and Sweets always reminds me, do something every day that scares the hell out of you. That was his big thing when we always walked into his studio. And this is something really big that scared the hell out of me that, I'm just uprooting my life, family, everybody. We know nobody in South Carolina, but this is what recovery brought me, guys. This is why I can do stuff like this today. Get on a podcast, not even know what I'm talking about. 5 weeks in a row talking about step 5. This is what recovery brought me. And these two beautiful ladies that are here and everybody behind the scenes, this is because of recovery. End of story. That is it. I cannot go any further than that. It's all due to me being sober and working a fucking program. So if you want the nuggets of the program, do what we did. Just work the program and shit happens. It really does. So,
and it happens fast. It doesn't take years. I mean, no, I'm only 3 years in, coming up on 3 years in next month. Yeah. So it happens very quickly.
Absolutely.
So I hope my recovery brings me to South Carolina. That would be
I hope
wonderful.
It does too. It'd be nice. Be nice to have a neighbor.
I think Chris would be really happy with that.
Chris is dying to move down there. One thing I do want to give Chris a shout out, right? He is my homie on running. Okay. I don't know if that's the right word. I don't know if I should be wearing a hat sideways. I don't know what the hip square thing now is to say, but Chris came to my house. Tiff and Chris came to my house last week, and I was running a half a marathon, and I had to leave early. I'm like, okay, I'll see you. I'm gonna head out, blah blah blah, whatever time to get up to AC. I ran the AC half marathon, and Chris steps up. Tiffany's husband steps up and says, "I'm gonna go with you." And I was like, really? I'm like, all right. So we had a great time. Chris and he was cheering me on. He took a video of me coming in, and I did hit my goal. I wanted to run it. I wanted to run it under 2 hours, but just some training didn't happen. But I wanted to at least come in at 2 hours and 15 minutes. So I came in 2 hours, 14 minutes and 36 seconds. Nice. And Chris was there for the whole time. So Thank you, Chris. We love you. So,
I want to throw a shout out to Chris as a challenge. He's got all these, you guys, he's got these amazing cars that are coming in right now. Not just like fancy cars. I'm talking like incredible, weird, awkward, like the coolest shit you've ever seen. They just purchased from Carvici. So maybe I'll do an FIR from the car in something weird while you're in the movie.
Oh, that would be so cool.
Yes. Yes.
You never know. It could be a military Humvee. It could be an Aston Martin. It could be, I don't know, but he's got some really cool stuff coming in these old trucks that have been redone, and they're so cool, you guys. I can't believe it. I can't believe that's a part of my recovery life. Really,
I know, right?
I get to drive this stuff.
I know. It's really cool. So hold on. I'm just trying to get back to the comments.
I'll never forget, Tiff, when I worked at Genesis, and the people that were directing there had gotten a car, like a nice car. Remember, you guys all got like Mercedes or something. It was like everybody got Mercedes. Like, take it to the 7-Eleven and get me something. I'm like, what? Like, she trusted me to drive her car. Like, like it was recovery. I only like a year and a half clean.
When I got my first Mercedes when I was a year and a half clean. It happens. And Chris does that for people in recovery.
Yeah.
He shows people in recovery like these and they're not brand new, the first one, stuff like that. That's, but you can be in a really nice car. And, if you put your head down and work for it, it happens. It's really cool. If that's your thing, go for it, man.
Yeah. But you got to stay sober. You got to work these steps. And that's why we're doing the steps here. That's why we're talking about, these steps. But before we get into step 5, let's talk about the question of the week. This one hit home because I have a super embarrassing story that I still cringe, you get the cringe, right? You're like, oh shit, even 45 years later. So the question of the week is
question of the week.
What was your most embarrassing moment in grade school? So I'll go first because mine's pretty disgusting and it's pretty embarrassing. And when you're in 6th grade, even if you leave your fly open, that's fucking really embarrassing too, right? Everything's embarrassing, but this was really bad. So I had this group of I was finally in 6th or 7th grade. I was in the cool guy group, right? Where the cool chicks hung out with the cool guys, and I got accepted there. I had my part, and I was wearing I went to Catholic school and all that. And I was I was this geeky kid. Anyways, at least I had some hair back then. But we were on the playground, and I remember, and I don't know why I did it, but I can't remember why. But one of the cool kids that kind of first accepted me in, he was there, and I went to spit, right? I don't know why. I went to spit, and I spit in the kid's face. I think I was just so nervous. I was so nervous talking to this cool guy. You don't get it. Ed's not cool. I am. I was the kid that stood in a corner wishing somebody would throw me the ball. And now I'm talking to the coolest kid in the world. And I guess I just lost, and I spit in the kid's face, and I didn't mean it. So that was so fucking embarrassing, guys. So that was my most embarrassing. What's that?
How did he react?
He was okay with it. I wiped his face off, and I distinctly remember where it was. I remember how it happened. And that's the reason why I drank, guys. That's the reason. It was insane. It was so embarrassing. So when I seen this question, I was like, this is crazy. And I have to get this out because I don't think I've ever told anybody that since it probably fucking happened.
Right.
Oh my God.
That's how embarrassing it was. So guys, what's your least embarrassing moment that you have compared to mine? So
Sky, you're up next.
Yeah, go ahead,
All
Sky.
right. So, what you would call it? So I was probably the youngest kid in the world to get braces. I was in 3rd grade.
Oh.
And I was made fun of really bad, but I had gotten braces. I just lost all my teeth early. I'm the type that once I had a loose tooth, I would wiggle it by the end of the day. It was gone because I just couldn't sit still. You know what I mean? I'm like, how do I get it? Would bite an apple, tie it to what? I would try anything. I was crazy like that.
Oh my God.
So I had this thing on the top. It breaks your jaw and widens your mouth, with the key.
Oh yeah.
Well, it made me talk with a lisp. And my friend that I actually won class clown with in senior year, my friend Matt, he used to always say, "You like Jen Parker?" Because he's I would talk the thing with the list, and I would spit on people too, Ed, and my food would get caught in there. It was so the whole year, that whole era was embarrassing.
I know.
Oh my God.
Yeah, pretty much breaks your jaw and then reconstruct, because
oh my God.
Yeah. It stays in there for the top of your mouth. Well,
yours was embarrassing throughout the year. I mean, I guess I could just say it happened like in 30 seconds for me. So I guess that's tough, man. That's tough. And first of all, braces are tough. Yeah. Oh my God. And then the lisp. Oh my God. Scott, that's bad. I don't mean it's bad, but it's, I feel it. I feel it. So,
right.
All right, Tiff, what is your most embarrassing moment?
Oh my gosh. So I was a product of the 90s, which meant I had a lot of hairspray, but my hair wasn't big. You know what I mean? It was grunge.
Yeah.
And we were in Spanish class. This was 9th grade. And the kid behind me, and I was in the cool group too. And he also was, but he was the cool boy group, right? Kind of like the asshole jocks kind of thing, but pretty cool because his parents had some status, and whatever. Anyway, he was playing with the lighter and he was sitting behind me in Spanish class and my hair's lit on fire.
Oh my God.
And yeah, so anyway, like it all happened like right before the bell rang. It happened so quickly. And I was fucking furious that, like he was started patting my head and I was like, what the fuck are you doing? And then everybody started smelling the hair burning, and then like he ran out to the lunchroom and the teacher was coming after us. And all I could think to do was pick up this fucking cheeseburger and that had ketchup on it on a plate. And I chucked it across this long lunchroom. And I don't know, because I don't have an arm, but it hit the kid on the side of the face. And he's like really popular, right? This is like deal breaker. And it's going down his face. And then the next thing, I'm getting pulled out because I'm causing a fight. There's a big brawl in the lunchroom and fucking my hair smells so bad, right? And then, whatever, we all got pulled out and like everything. It was a crazy, it was crazy. Like,
it was an embarrassing moment.
Down, like this whole like scene of hair starting on fire, cheeseburger. Everybody's like wondering what the fuck is going on. And my whole back of my hair was really long, was singed, so I had to get it cut like super short.
Oh my god!
And it's like it was just the whole thing. I can't explain.
I can smell the Aquanet as we speak.
Yes. But it was like one of the one times that my mom like came from work and showed up to school for me. And she fucking showed up.
Wow.
There was like parent meeting and all this stuff.
Oh my God.
Here's what's even worse. That kid that lit my hair on fire is my 23-year-old son's boss today.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
That's why you don't burn bridges, guys. That's why you don't burn bridges.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
don't burn bridges. But you know what? Like, he's like keeping my son employed as an electrician. He might have some guilt and remorse.
There you go.
That he's holding on to. But it was really embarrassing. I don't know, especially for a girl that. When you have long hair and it was like the era of that, and then my hair was gone.
Yeah, but any of any age group, because my daughter's still going through that. She's 20 now. She's the youngest out of them. But all my other kids are like, they don't care to have babies already, so they don't care. And it is what it is. I mean, I wear these fucking glasses, so come on. You think I'm really embarrassed of anything at this point in my life? Let's be so. Anyways, but when we're that age, man, it really wears on us. It really and you know what? And that's one of the things that we just talked about. But I'll be honest with you, there's a lot of things that embarrass me, but drugs and alcohol really helped me kind of get through that embarrassing. I didn't have to think about it. I didn't have to, worry about things. The other thing too is, I hated reading, and I still hate reading. I have a hard time reading. I just, and you guys hear me reading on here, and I read. I don't care. That's how I'm only going to get better if I read. But when I was in school, I hated reading too. So I would skip class, I would drink, I would do drugs and, all that stuff. So that cool class that went to, obviously, where I went to, and that's why I'm here where I'm at today. But, Bambi had a meeting this morning, and she said, she was talking about some of the slogans in AA, and she had a really good point. She said, all these slogans should be put into schools when we're growing up. Easy does it, think, all these slogans that AA has, but we have, we're taught about fucking algebra, which I never use. I never used the algebra on a podcast, right? English, obviously you could tell I fucking failed English. I mean, that's hands down if anybody can't see that. But why don't you, like Bambi said, why don't they teach us some of the stuff that we need to get through life? You know what I mean? And of course, all that stuff is important. I'm not saying that, but she really hit home when she said that this morning. Let's teach kids some core values, right?
Yeah, core life skills.
Exactly. Yes. Exactly.
My daughter was even, and my daughter's really intelligent. Yesterday or the day before was putting something into an envelope. She was mailing her something back, a return notice. And it had the window envelope that includes the address. And she had to ask me, she's like, no, I don't write the address on here, right? That it goes to. And I'm like, no. And like my other son didn't know even where to put the return address when he mailed his first stuff. Like we just, and I know like those are even just the basics of the basics.
Yeah, let's not even talk about the cursive being out the door.
Right.
Yeah.
There's so much stuff that they're not, but valid. Don't say valid point, Charles. That means whatever you said is bullshit. that's the phrase. Charles just put a comment and it says, that's a very valid point, Ed. He obviously didn't hear my story that whenever we use the phrase, that's a valid point, it's when you're really listening to somebody and it means, fuck you, that's the stupidest thing.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We talked about that.
It's a very good point, Ed. It's
Right on top of it, Rose.
But I think Charles was really listening to me. And that's a valid point for you too, Charles. Anyways, let's move on to the next part of the show. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
When I hear that valid point every time, because it's such a good phrase, right? To say to somebody when really you mean.
That's a $10 word, right? Isn't that like a $10 word?
That's what Charles is laughing now.
Charles was probably giving us the finger. So
and maybe he really did listen to the show and he's really saying that's a fucking valid point.
Yeah. He's like, I'm like, the only reason I'm listening to the show is because my woman's on here. And that's the only reason why.
It's like, I don't want to kill me.
I have the humorous bald headed guy and the other one with the hair and the boobs hanging out. We'll just, anyways, so that was a question of the week. And, we can bring that into step 5. We can bring that into all of our steps, right? I mean, growing up and being, just embarrassing, and even growing up and not having a support. Like you just said, Tiff, your mom showed up for you that day. I never had my mom or dad show up for me when needed, never.
I barely knew my mom existed at that point in my life. And that was 9th grade, she had never been there for me, but man, she showed up that day. I was like, all right.
Yeah.
It gave me hope. It gave me hope.
There is some hope. At least there was one good thing in your life.
Yes, right?
Just kidding. I'm kidding.
But I'll never forget that she did show up.
Yeah.
And even at the end of her life, past, through all the resentments and all that stuff, I still remember that to this day. Like the biggest point with that I didn't even relate it to being embarrassing until like we brought up this question. I always related that situation to like the day my mom showed up, like the day, mark it on the calendar.
Exactly. So we're going to talk a little bit here about, so this is week 5 of the month. The last Tuesday of the month is going to be, it's still we're still in May. So admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. And you know what? Talking about this stuff, there's a valid point. There's a valid point to all this. But there is a kind of segue into all this because what we did in our past lives because of some of our actions, number one, because of some other people's actions, or maybe inactions of our parents or our loved ones or our caregivers, we're here today. I mean, I'm here today. I don't want to speak for everybody else, but I'm sure we're probably in the same boat. So that kind of it gets us be able to. My dogs are going crazy. Sorry.
That's right.
It's summertime here now in Cape May, and everybody is out with their dogs, and it's been crazy. So, but the whole.
I'm while he's yelling.
Sorry,
at the
guys.
Dogs, do you want me to read the reflections?
Yeah, you could read the daily reflections. I'm going to go
talk about
close the door and shut the window while you're doing that.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So the daily reflections that I wanted to read is actually from May 18th, because this is I really feel like this is what it means. That's step 5, this very top heading, freedom to be me. And it comes from Alcoholics Anonymous. It says, if we are painstaking about this phase of our development, we will be amazed before we are halfway through. We're going to know a new freedom and a new happiness. And I think that's one of the key points from Alcoholics Anonymous on step 5. Like I said, you guys have way more recovery than I do. And I can't believe how amazed I am. And I can't believe how much more there is to come. But it goes on to say, my first true freedom is the freedom not to have to take a drink today.
Yep.
The freedom to not have to take a drink today. If I truly want it, I will work the 12 steps, and the happiness of this freedom will come to me through the steps, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. Other freedoms will follow, and inventorying them and it is a new happiness. I had a new freedom today, the freedom to be me. I have the freedom to be the best me I have ever been. And I just really think that sums up step 5, everything about it. I do have the freedom to be me. I can come on here on a podcast in front of God knows how many people and tell an embarrassing moment and not have to drink today because of it.
Yes.
Like I did before. Yeah.
That is so true. And being in recovery, we can talk about things like I said, that was the first time that ever story kind of passed through my lips since like 6th or 7th grade. And, it's all because of recovery. And this is a perfect reading for all of that, and especially step 5, like you said. And, it's a painstaking, part of our development, but painstaking, I want to just make one thing clear when I hear that painstaking, is only for the moment, guys. It's not forever, right?
Yes.
You don't have to hold on to things forever. Just like that like I was talking about with my, with my embarrassing story. I didn't have to hold on to that forever. This is the first time I ever got it out. And I feel good now. I really do. Dogs can bark. Everything's, life is good. But, once we get it out and we move through it, whatever it is, and especially in step 5, admitted to ourselves to another human being and God, the exact exact natures of our wrongs, it makes us feel good. And that painstaking process is now over. It's completely done. And it's time to start on a new life, basically, start on a new life.
Yes.
The masks have to go. That's what we say in NA, like the masks have to go.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
We when I was in IOP, Sky, when you bring up the word mask, we in early IOP drew a picture. Here comes the naked child, but it's blurred. He just remembered the doors closed and I'm on my podcast. He ran away.
No naked kids this week.
What a good listener.
But we had to draw a picture of what that mask looked like.
Ooh, I love that.
Like in real size. And it was very interesting going around the room talking about those masks, what your mask looked like. And we broke that down and how to get rid of it. So
there's the kid and he's blurred out.
Another gun. See, another gun.
Oh my God.
So, yeah. Removing that mask was, but I liked drawing it, like actually drawing it out, what it looked like.
Yeah. We did a show way back when, about masks, removing our masks. Mm-hmm. And I think that's when we were still in one of the studios, but it was an amazing show that, everybody it was one of our higher viewed shows. And, just removing that mask or even like Tiff, like she said, just drawing that mask and seeing what it looks like so we can get it out, get it done and over with and move on through. We don't need that mask anymore. We don't need any masks. We don't come on if, especially us, we do not come on here with masks. I don't put a Jersey Ed mask on. This is who I am. It's just pretty funny to have a name and all that, but I am who I am. What you see here is what happens when this thing goes off and we're out in the real world and we do what we have to do. I'm happy sometimes, I'm sad, I'm pissed off, and whatever, and it shows through right here. We do what we have to do here and we're real. And that's the important part, is being real through these steps. Mm-hmm. And especially step 5, when we're real, and step 4 and 5, that's when a lot of the healing happens, and I know we spoke earlier, and we're going to recap step 5, wrapping up step 5. And I'm going to pull something from the beginning that I remember, is that, some of us, when we did our step 4 and step 5, we left some shit out. Right. And that's human nature to do that. But you know what? That's why
it hasn't come out yet too.
Exactly. Yeah. You're not ready to have it come out yet. Just like we kind of talked about on the show. That was one of the other reasons why I wanted to bring that question of the week up, because it made us think, like, really way back in some embarrassing moments, because that's what step 4 and 5 that we think is an embarrassing moment, but it's not. it's something that we need to get through and move on to, you know what I mean? And that's so important that we do that. And again, don't leave anything out of these 2 steps, especially if you want to heal and move on through everything. So if any advice that I can give or you guys want to take is just do it, thoroughly, and painstaking is going to come.
Don't the biggest thing I find, or the easiest thing to leave out, is reasons why you're so resentful towards yourself. Those are some of the hardest things to share. Like I was able to share even the worst things of the worst about other people and things like that, and things that had happened. But when it came to myself, that's what was the hardest, is taking, not only just getting rid of that resentment, but taking ownership and things like that. Because that really gets rid of that guilt and shame. The mask was really gone when I did a thorough fist step.
That mask in front of somebody, they're those masks that we keep that we don't tell anybody about. Usually the thoughts we have of ourselves, the way we beat ourselves up. So to remove that mask in front of a sponsor, that's really good. And it also helps us see the patterns, and then we can start working on that and how we relate to others. Yeah. Because relationships are key. The connections we make in here are key. Yeah. So how we relate to people is rather important, you know?
Yeah. I love that you said that, Sky, removing that mask in front of our sponsor. I mean, how powerful is that? Removing that mask in front of your sponsor, another human being, whoever it is. Yep. We can remove that mask in front of God. I do that every morning when I'm on my knees and I talk to God. I look at myself in the mirror and say, yeah, I was wrong today, or I did whatever. But when you have to stand in front of another human being, because it all comes together, myself, God, and now another human being.
Yes.
Oh, you muted.
Hit the top.
You hit the top of your microphone.
Is that better? You got me?
That's better.
Right.
We're good.
Now I have to verbalize it. And I do every verbalization. It is so important. When you verbalize things, you have to get it out, declare it. You have to talk about it, because it won't happen. If we can keep it up here, right? We can lock it in there. But if you don't talk about it, every morning I have my, I read my daily affirmations that I have. There's about 15 of them that I read, and I read them out loud. The reason why I read them out loud, because I have to hear them, I have to believe them, and I have to understand them. And that's where step 5 is, that you have to read this shit out loud to another human being. And then
my sponsor saw the way I said it too. She picked up patterns in the way I said it, and the way I spoke it, and how nasty I was to myself, and the way I even, you know what I mean? So that was another thing we got to verbalize it for, to hear it out loud, so we know how unrealistic it is, and people can hear how, you know what I mean? Things that they see in us.
Yeah. And those masks that we drew out, of 20 people, not one of those masks looked happy. No, it was sadness, it was tears, it was darkness, it was, all these things on this mask. Why don't we want to get rid of that? Let's get rid of it. Let's lift that away from us.
Well, why don't we want to get rid of it? What's the, I heard on a meeting this morning that it was hard to, I always say that people, we're not bad people getting good. We're sick people getting better. And I am part of this too. I'm like, I didn't want to be a sick person, but I wanted to look at myself as a bad person, because I did all these bad things, and I want to get good. Right. I'm okay with that. No, I'm a sick person trying to get better. And I don't mean sick in the head or whatever. It's all this poison I'm pouring into my body, all this bad, negative information, whatever it is, it's going into my body, and it's making my body physically sick. If you look at yourself, if you look at yourself, if we looked at ourselves way back when we were using, and versus today, I mean, Tiff, look at all the medical issues that you had, right? When you were using. I mean, you're open about it. I mean, stop me if I'm saying anything.
No, there was tons. And a lot of those were made so much worse by drinking. I mean, 100, I can't even tell you the percentage worse, because it doesn't exist. It was just incredible. But those masks, a lot of times it was hard for me. I didn't know what I looked like without that mask. That was my identity. It was very scary to remove that, because that's who I was. I didn't know any different. I know the mask on the outside, the real mask really didn't look the image that I portrayed on the outside. You know, I'm helpful, I'm fine, I'm this, I'm that, right?
Yeah.
But I'm really fine means fucked up, insecure, neurotic, and emotional. And I said I was fine all the time.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I really was fucked up, insecure, neurotic, and emotional. And that mask looked completely different than the image I was trying to portray. But removing that mask was hard because I didn't know who I was with letting that shit go. Who was I then?
Yeah.
Who am I? Even though it was bad.
Even when we do remove that mask at the beginning, we're sad people. We're very depressed people because our drugs aren't there, our alcohol isn't there, our behaviors are going away now, and it's a raw, open feeling.
There's survival skills. So like, and they worked for so long, but now it's like they don't serve us anymore. So like, you're right, we have to drop all them, and that's hard because we're used to surviving with them skills. So now it's like, well, what do? I feel naked. I'm like, no, nothing. You have nothing, you know.
But the positive things that came from doing that, and I mean immediate positive things that came, and that constant validation of more positive things and coming into my life and things happening to me, that I had constant validation once I let that mask go, that people were going to show up for me, that God was going to be there for me, that there was a plan, that I could do it. I could survive without that mask, right?
Yes.
All these things started happening in my life, and the cup kept getting more full and more full and more full. And through that series of validation, and yes, sometimes shit went bad. It went bad, but I didn't drink. I didn't drink. I didn't fall back on the old behavior. And because of that validation, my life got very exciting. I wanted to know who I was without the drug or the drink. I wanted to know who I was, because I never knew who I was until I started working the steps. I really didn't. I didn't have no clue what I was or who I was as a person.
Well, let me ask you guys this. Who were you before recovery, and who are you now?
Well, I was
how long you guys got?
Yeah, right. The show's gonna go on for another 12 hours, guys.
Before recovery, I was a very sad, lonely, broken individual who put on an image that was tried to put on a face that was opposite of that. I was very, very broken and sad, and I was hurting, hurting from the soul. All, you know, every cell in my body hurt. And that was before recovery. And now I get to actually, it's beyond my wildest dreams, the person that I have become. I always knew that I was a helpful, loving individual, but now I have healthy boundaries, healthy people in my life, friendships, relationships that I never knew I could even possible, that are true and authentic. And I'm true and authentic, right? I don't have to be that mask anymore, that fake person image that I portrayed. I'm not that person, and I get to do and love what I want to do. You know,
you do
all those things. And it all naturally fell into place, which is also so amazing to me. And I truly believe that, like, all of us, the three of us here, were brought together for a reason.
Yeah. It's crazy how we're brought together. But Sky, how about you? Who are you before and after?
I think
in that mask.
So like, I'm a visual person, you know what I mean? And I think of myself before addiction as camouflage, you know what I mean? Like, I just was trying to fit in wherever I was. I liked and did whatever you guys were doing. And now I think I'm like a bunch of fluorescent colors. And I feel like, you know, I just think of bright. And not because like of my personality, but just because how I feel, the way I show up. You know, I know how to smile, use my smile today. I've always had this smile, but I used to hide behind it. And like, I can still hide behind it today, but I know how to like talk about it. I know how to express feelings today. I've learned how to put that mask down in front of certain people. And I think about, NA talks about like the exact nature. You guys, I forget how you guys say it, but the exact nature of our wrongs. So not just the action of but why we did it. You know, so it says, how does our exact nature of my wrong differ from my actions? And like, this process has made me aware of that kind of stuff to help me improve these things and these masks I had about myself. Because like you said, the masks you thought you were wearing versus what people really saw, they were different anyway. Like, I was a people pleaser, but how many people was I really pleasing? Like
I was pleasing, me too. And I was pleasing nobody.
Nobody.
Yeah, it's
So the
so
mask is
true.
crazy.
Oh my
It's
God, that is
delusional.
so true. Yeah,
Right?
that is
The
so
exact
true.
nature. Why did we do it? And then once we get to that, we're like, okay, how can we change it? What can I put in place of it? Because check it. For how many years I learned these behaviors. So that's how many years I can spend unlearning them and learning new ones.
Mhm.
And
Of
that's the
course.
fucking hope.
Yeah,
Right there is that, like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, I learned these somehow so I can learn other ones. And that's
absolutely.
obvious that I have faith and belief in something.
Yeah.
Right?
I
You know
like
what
that.
I mean?
I like that you said that, Skylar, because Tiffany said, which at the beginning of the show, it doesn't take long to learn this. Look at Tiffany, 3 years, right?
Exactly.
So when you get that negative bullshit out of your head and you start putting all that positive stuff in, you learn so much quicker. Your brain wants to absorb all that. Once you put all that crap away from the drugs and alcohol and the bad times that, again, we think we're bad people getting good. We're not. When we understand that we're sick people getting well, that's when the healing begins, and that's when the growing begins, and that's when all that information comes in, and you want to soak it up like a sponge. And you know what? You're 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. You were so far advanced from when you stopped drinking to those 2, 3, whatever years you're at. You just learned so much, Yes. And I try to learn something huge every day. And guys, mine before and after, my before was I was the loneliest fucking person on the face of the earth. Lonely. I am telling you, lonely. And again, like I said, I was in the cool guys group. I was, I hung out with all the pot smokers and the coke
A room
doers.
full of people feeling alone. Right?
I was exactly that person. I could have sat in there. Now it could have been a pity party I was playing too. It could have been I was playing the victim also. But that comes with the territory that I was in, right? That came with all the territory. So you get what you reap what you sow, right? And that is it. End of story. But afterwards, now I am the bright sunshine colors. I love how, because I'm thinking, like, what the fuck am I now? But I am that happy, bright sunshine. I am that leader. I am that person who can take charge today and not feel embarrassed or not feel like he's not good enough. I am that person that people look up to, which is still hard for me to believe, but I am that person. And that's what recovery gave me, guys. Recovery gave me all this. And the recovery gave me the knowledge or the openness to learn all this knowledge that I already had, that I already possessed.
Yes.
But fucking drugs and alcohol were pushing it so far down.
Yeah,
I
God,
thought I was a
willingness.
piece of shit, right?
Yep.
My pie was this big and my piece of shit pie was this big, right? There was only this little bit of you're a good guy in there. And now it's the opposite way around, because I do beat myself up, man. I tell myself I'm a piece of shit every once in a while, and I fucking go there real quick and say, fuck you, you are not, get the fuck out of here now, So that's kind of what I was.
I love that. It did switch. That little piece used to be the good in me, and now it's the bad in me. Because I do still have days where I beat myself up and I can't see the exact nature.
Yep. And that's when we rely on our community.
Yes.
We rely on our community.
Skylar, you're off today. Is everything okay?
Yeah. What's up?
That's important.
I noticed this, what's that, and being able to actually take that feedback as were before, that would have been humiliating.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Gosh, the ability to take ownership for my actions, the ability to, it's so rewarding. It's so rewarding. Who never thought that? Admitting that I was wrong would be rewarding. It is.
I'm never wrong.
It takes it away. It literally makes me feel lighter.
Yes.
And it's weird that it's rewarding on so many levels.
Yeah.
And we are lucky. We're fortunate people, the three of us, that we do. And this is not boasting. We have charismatic, magnetic personalities. And so, and that's a double-edged sword, man, because it takes, it takes a lot of weight, it's a lot of energy personally to be that person. But also we get to use that as an asset today, for positive things in our life. Doing a podcast like this, running meetings, having the jobs that we have, the careers that we have, having the people in our life,
sponsees in our lives that want that information from us, right? Carrying the message.
We do have the ability of building people up and seeing good, positive things in their life. And they use us as a trusted advisor versus, and I know I'm no bullshit. If I will call you on your shit immediately.
Yeah.
I will tell you the truth, that, get out of the fucking pity pot. I will say that right directly to you. But,
and the people listening to this podcast, if you're listening to this podcast, you're in the same boat as us.
Yes.
Because you're learning, you turn this podcast on and you're listening for a reason, because you want to learn, because you want to be that person. You want to get it, that information. You want to be that person that Tiffany was just talking about. You don't want to sit back and not do the things we've done when we were using out there. Listen, I'm so far removed from alcohol today and drugs, but I can remember it just like it happened 5 minutes ago. 5 minutes ago. And I don't ever want to be there. That feeling of loneliness, when I said loneliness, I was like, holy fuck, man, there is no way I ever want to be lonely again. I don't want to be that person again. And that was 28 years ago. Right. And I feel like when I said that, it felt like it was like 5 fucking minutes ago.
Yes. And every seed of adversity, this comes from Think and Grow Rich. Every seed of adversity that we have, and think of all the adversity we had to overcome to be here today, listening on this podcast, everybody on Facebook Live, all of us, all that adversity is that seed of adversity is something that is an asset today. Every adverse moment or everything that we face with adversity becomes an inspiration for us today.
Yeah.
And when you can do that, that's the key, is turning that, just making that little turn.
It goes back to May 18th. You're reading the painstaking moment, right? If the painstaking moment of anything, there's 2 ways we can look at it. We can look at it as I can become the victim, and I can sit in this painstaking shit and let it go on forever and have everybody around me fucking suffer. Or I could be the victor and say, you know what? I'm going to push through it. It'll take a day or 2. It'll be out of my head, or 2 minutes, and it'll be out of my head, and I'll move through this, and the problem's gone. Right?
And all that time
is I just kept doing what you just said every day.
Yeah.
And all that time we spent doing all that shit, all those things that we overcame, all that stuff we went through, becomes something what we use as a tool today for other people. That time was not worthless. It was totally worthwhile.
Oh, no, it was not.
I wouldn't change it for a minute. I really wouldn't. There's a lot of things that I would do differently, but if I had a choice, that is what made me who I am right this minute, where my 2 feet are planted.
That's right.
And
that's part of our experience, strength, and hope.
Yep.
That's what our experience, strength, and hope is. If our friend Jeff always says, fall down 7, get up 8, right? If we fell down and our mommies or daddies or our husbands or wives or whoever always were there to pick us up, we wouldn't be where we're at today, guys. We would not be where we're at today. And if you're, like I said, if you're coming on these podcasts, you're on a meeting, you wouldn't be where you're at today too, because this show isn't just about us. This show is for the masses to get the information. And guys, we see you guys just being on this Facebook Live thing, making these comments, Sandy, welcome Sandy. And
participation. Just participating is amazing. I just can't believe it. It could
be something so small, and you could help somebody so immensely.
Yes.
Every time these comments pop up, and I see them, I'm just like, the participation and engagement is incredible.
It's
what you do
because it's for their recovery. They are, and they may not even know it, but that is for their recovery.
And someone else possibly, right?
And somebody else, mine.
Yeah, exactly.
Or it validates, Sandra just said, yes, Tiff, like when I was talking about that broken, lonely person, like that mask that I had and what it looked like. Yes. Now I know I'm not alone. Sandra's there too. I see that, right?
Just by saying
I'm not alone in doing this. And one of the biggest things that I would say, the biggest key is that with this step is, after I did my 5th step, I really learned who my people were and how to build that wall of immunity against negativity.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
And that wall of immunity against negative people, negative influence in my life. I don't care if it was what I ate to what I watched on TV. but anybody or anything that was negative, I had to exclude from my life. I had to build that wall of community.
Yeah.
And I needed my community to do that. I need Skylar. I need Ed. I need Sandra. I need Bambi. I need these people. I definitely need Chris. You know, Chris is always my knight in shining armor. He comes in and swoops in and can, you know, can pick me up when I need it.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know,
we want to surround ourselves with those positive people, because we were always surrounding ourselves with those negative people, those bad, I don't want to say bad people, those people we shouldn't be around. And the minute we get around that, we get very uncomfortable. Sometimes I sit in it and I have to see, but I'll be honest with you. I had to cut some loved ones out of my life. People who are super close to me. I can't, not that I never talk to them, but I cannot be around them because I don't need that negative stuff. I don't need that energy. I can't afford it in my life today. I can't afford it in my life today because I can't go back to being that lonely person 28 years ago, over 28 years ago.
You know what you have to do.
Yeah. Exactly. I want to talk about the spiritual principle of this step. It's integrity. That's what we're talking about here, guys. Integrity. This is what we all have been talking about. Is that after that, you know, Tiff talking about how she feels now and that piece of integrity that kind of, gets us to where we need to be. It gives us that hope. It gives us that kind of drive and it, you know what? It makes us feel good. Integrity. It gives us, I can wake up in the morning and go brush my teeth and stare at myself in the mirror and say, I'm a good guy today. I'm a good person today. I did things right today. I may not did it 100% right, or maybe not exactly the way it should have been done, but I'm not stealing, cheating, robbing. I'm not, trying to get over on you. I'm not manipulating you in a bad way. I have integrity today. I can honestly say I do my best today because of this program, because of these steps, and because of the people who came before me, and especially because of this step. Because of this step. And Tiff, you were talking about how Standy's comment just made you feel better. But think when we make ourselves feel better, the how it radiates with just the people around us, our wives, our husbands, our kids,
the energy.
We make them better.
Yes.
We're not just, I could sit here and say, fuck you all, go fucking sit down. This is bullshit. Dinner's late. This is late. You didn't take the garbage out. What the fuck is that going to do? That's going to create so much chaos and then drink and drug on top of that. Right. But hey, you know what? If I have a positive and a good outlook on life here, and then just say, hey, dinner was great tonight, and I'm going to take the garbage out because I know you were doing a couple things. If we keep it positive, that is just going to, and then those people are going to radiate that out, good or bad, also, and so on and so on. So if you think by you changing yourself. If you think that it's not going to change the world, you're fucking wrong, man. You are completely fucking wrong. Yeah.
And you talk about changing the world. And this is where integrity comes in too, with where we're at today. I spent 2 hours listening to a very important panel coming from police department to state representatives to all sorts of, to mothers, to everything. And we lost 106,000 people to overdose just last year that we know of. Okay. 106,000 people. And the biggest message that came through from every single person on that panel is that our stories change the world.
Yes.
Our stories, and one person's story makes the biggest impact. So we do have a voice. This does help us heal. Doing this podcast helps me heal. Our stories, our voices change the world, and we need to keep at it and not give up. Because our loud voices have the biggest impact. Nothing else is going to happen. Everybody, look at how much money that was dumped in. They talked to about COVID, right? And we didn't lose it as many people as just the 1 year in overdose. So this is our biggest asset is our voice. And so we have to keep moving forward with that, because we're going to continue to lose people. And, we need to, there's a lot of people just even within the rooms that need help. So share our stories. Everything you say is worthwhile.
And even when, it sounds like, listen, we wing a lot of this shit, guys. I'll be honest with you, right? I mean, not wing it, but we're just pulling from what we know. We don't come on here and prepare. We do a little preparation, but this is what we learned from our sponsors. This is what we lived, and this is what we do. So if you think, if you're new at this and you think that this is so hard and I'll never be where they're at, well, you will be. And these steps, if you keep relapsing, or if you're wondering how to stop drinking, it's very easy, but it's very hard. And when you're into it and you're working a program, you change your mindset. It's very easy. It really is very easy once you do it. And once you get into these steps, and once you start working these steps, it just comes to me. And I don't mean this in a boasting way or a bad way. It comes to me automatic because I'm doing what I have to do. That think of a drink or a drug or a bad thought isn't there anymore.
Yeah,
I know how to get rid of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's gone.
Yeah, it's gone.
What's
It's
nice
gone.
is that, we do have this ability to share and be open and honest, especially on these bonus episodes like today. It's an extra, Tuesday in the month where we get to share like we are openly and honestly. And we're just pulling from our experience, like you just said, Ed. And that's raw. This is raw. This is real. The other shows where we have to focus on what is really step 5 and stuff like that, we do a lot of homework on, but not today. Today, it's like, all right, here it is. We're wrapping it all up. We're getting real. We're getting open. And I love these episodes when we do that. I just do.
Yeah.
Yep. Check it. One last thing I really like too is the trust in this. I didn't have any trust when I got in this program, right? And this step really forced me to, even when I didn't want to practice trust, because I had to trust the stuff that I was saying, with my sponsor. And she was completely trustable. All the fears I had about trusting someone were smashed by doing this step.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. You're right.
And every time I've done a 4th step, and that's all it does is build more and more trust to show me proof and evidence that, people are trustable in the world.
Yeah.
I had a new baseline when I walked out of my 5th step, right? Yeah. Just like we had a new baseline when we cut out the substance from our body, and then we built our health and things back up from there. But I had a new baseline from a spiritual level, because all of these thoughts, all of these experiences, all of that stuff, it's not tangible things. These are all coming from our mind and our experience and our trust and the things that happened to us in the past. Yeah. And so that is spiritual. That's what it is. It's not something tangible that we can hold. So it was just an incredible way to come out of there, is that I was back at a fresh, clean slate. And I could build from there. Yeah. And I could choose to go any way I wanted. I could go into the pity pot, like you said, Ed, and dig myself a bigger hole and lead myself right back into relapse. Or I had the ability to do something different. And I chose different. And so did all of you. Yeah.
A choice today. How awesome.
It's a choice. Yeah. But you know what, guys, that choice can be easily taken away if we don't do this. If we don't get, if we don't get on this podcast, our recovery, I was talking on the meeting today. My recovery is the most important thing, along with I was running this morning and I was on a meeting. Now, Tiff knows I do it every once in a while at the 7:30 meeting, but I do that every Saturday because, number one, because I'm sober today and I run. And I choose to be on a meeting, but I love those two things in my life, but that can easily go away if we just get complacent, if we just say, I'm not going to go to a meeting today, or, Tiff, you guys do the podcast and I'll sit out, or, whatever it is, and we have to keep creating. We have to keep growing. We have to keep learning what's going to keep us sober. What's the next thing that's going to keep us sober? The new iPhones, there's always going to be a new iPhone out, but we have to figure out what's the next thing, what's the next iPhone that's coming out? What's the next thing that's going to keep me sober? Is it a podcast? 5 years, 10 years ago, nobody knew about podcasts, right? I didn't know. Right. Now it's keeping us sober, right? How cool is that? And just to let you know that step 5 is something that like Tiff said, you get a new baseline, and all it is just talking to another human being. It's not rocket scientists. You don't have to go back and think about your algebra class or your science class. You don't need perfect English for it. I think, Tiff, you were telling me your sponsor had you write 19 words or less in your step 4. I mean, that's pretty fucking simple, right?
Yeah.
Pretty simple. And so you don't even have to have a high school education to do these 2 steps or any steps.
No,
you really don't.
You know, it says
you don't.
This really, I find it interesting that, you know, we're doing step 5, which is about us individually. Tradition 5, which we talked about last week, is to carry its message to the alcoholic who still suffers.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where we get that experience. It's a key, you know, turning point in our recovery. Yeah, we're not to step 12 yet, but tradition 5 says this, which pairs with, you know, step 5.
Yes.
And one of the question is, do I remember that AA long-timers too can be alcoholics who still suffer? Do I try both to help them and to learn from them? You know, I find that question interesting because, and this comes from Jeff. I've learned a lot from Jeff by this simple phrase about meeting people where they're at. And I can't assume that AA long-timers are recovered or don't suffer too, or don't also need help, right? And I can't assume or impose where I think people or how people should recover. I can't do that. My outlook on their recovery is totally different. I can't have an outlook, and I can't impose my outlook. No, it's your recovery. I need to meet people where they're at.
That's right.
Yeah, we listen with an open heart and open mind.
Yeah. And I'm learning.
We never know when we might need it. Honestly, everything I've ever shared nasty about, that shit has happened to me. I'm just going to be honest.
Well, that's step 5 is listening with an open heart and meeting people where they're at. Your sponsor, when you do step 5, your sponsor is not going to put you down for everything that he or she was talking about, what you're talking about, because you know what? They were there too. You know, they did the same. I don't want to say the same thing, but they understood. They were sitting in the chair where we are sitting when we're doing step 4 and 5 with them, you know, and that is like, you know, that's the fear that everybody has, but there is really no fear, because once you're through it, you're done. It's done and over with, you know, and that is like Tiff and you guys said, just meeting people where they're at. And Jeff does give some good advice.
And so, I will say too, I am so fortunate that I ended up with a sponsor who really loved the big book and was all about the 12 steps, because that's what worked. And that's the direction I was pushed in. And that's what saved my life.
Yeah.
Not every old timer or even every person on this podcast was with a sponsor who did that. You know what I mean? Like, we don't know who you're going to get, what you're going to do. That's your recovery. And it's all sometimes directed by our sponsors. So again, make sure you're using the right people.
Yes.
It's not about making a fucking friend.
No.
This person, and they are not going to chase you. It is your recovery, right? But
you get it what you put in.
Yeah.
Find the right person and fucking do whatever they say.
That's right.
And that person is the person that you're looking at, that you see. They are always doing the next right thing. They have integrity, right? They're honest. They're trustworthy. You know, it's not the person maybe that you ideally would say, oh, this is the person I want to go bowling with every weekend. No, right? This is a person that I see that I want, or they possess what I want. Yes. You know, they have it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is true. You know, a like-minded person, that's what we need. Obviously we're all like-minded here, but when it comes down to picking a sponsor, and especially doing this step, you want to have somebody who's going to understand this, you know, is going to kind of go through this. Guys, this was a great show. Step 5, admitted to ourselves, admitted to God, ourselves, and another human being, the exact natures of wrongs. I think we pounded this step into the pavement and back out again with the whole month of May, but it's one of the most important steps for us, like Tiff said, to get that baseline, to feel better, to stop wearing those masks. Everything that we spoke about today, that's what step 5 does. It gives us, you know, even what Skylar said, it makes you feel lighter. It lets you breathe. It takes that black cloud off of us. And then it goes into the, you know, we'll talk about step 6 next week, but then it goes into next, you know, we have a lighter outlook on life so we can get into the rest of the steps, and especially the health helping steps, the giving back steps. That's where it's really important that we're not negative, that we're not fucking assholes, or we're not going to give some people the wrong fucking information. That's where this step comes so important later on in these steps to help another addict and alcoholic who are suffering. So if you have to get this right, to make sure that, because giving back, guys, giving back is what keeps us sober here. And giving back is what makes this program work. And if we're going to give back some bad information or some shitty stuff, and believe me, I had my fair share of bad information in AA. But like Tiffany said earlier, you got to cut those people out of your lives. Get a new sponsor, get a new network, find a new friend, go to another meeting, whatever it is.
Find the message, not the mess.
Exactly. Yeah. You take care of you today, and that is it. Nobody else. Do you today. So
and
any closing words on this, guys, before we go?
Well, I would say, remember this. No matter where you're at or what you're thinking about yourself, you are worthy of every piece of investment you have access to.
Mm-hmm.
People, places, money, things. I don't care. You are worthy of it, right? You are worthy. And also, I know we talk a lot on this show because that's what a podcast is about. Mm-hmm. But sometimes words are not even necessary. Meet people where they're at, right? Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's necessary to just take some space. So, be there for others, and sometimes words aren't even necessary. So you don't have to worry about what you say. Just be there with somebody.
That is true. Absolutely. So,
and don't give up. We're all worth it.
Yeah. Nah, don't give up. And remember, stay sober, everybody.
This concludes this episode of Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast. Follow us on Facebook for past shows and updates, and enjoy free access to twice daily support meetings. Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast, is available on Facebook, Podbean, iTunes, and YouTube 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.